Well, ladies and gentlemen, how's the song go? What a difference a day makes, 24 little hours. Holy fucking shit, guys. Thursday, September 11th, 2025. What a fucking day for me to make the discoveries that I made today. Hope you guys are doing well. Strap the fuck in, because I got some shit to tell you about. Whew. God damn. Alright, so on yesterday's show, I discussed the Charlie Kirk shooting, and I told you I was about 50-50 on whether I thought this was a politically motivated assassination from the left or a CIA operation from the right to embolden their side. Well, I'm here to report to you, ladies and gentlemen, that I am 100% about my conclusion. Now, yesterday it had just happened. I hadn't really had time to dig into it or process it, so I was, about 50-50. Not 50-50 anymore, folks. I'm 100% now. God damn. Hope you guys are doing well. I got a new film out. My 36th film of the year, number 90 overall. It's called Edgar Cayce, The Sleeping Prophet. And of course, it's about exactly that. What's interesting about this film, especially the timing of it coming out yesterday, or it came out last night, or today rather. Obviously this stuff gets into the stuff about Edgar Cayce in this film, but the one area of this film that sets this film apart from other films on Edgar Cayce is Edgar Cayce's specific predictions about the year 2025. He made some very specific predictions about 2025, and boy, do they ever sound like exactly what the fuck is going on, especially in America, in the modern day. Yeah, specifically Trump and stuff. You gotta see this fucking movie, guys. This thing is such good quality. Probably gonna be the last one I make for a while. It's a very important film. Okay, so back to the Charlie Kirk thing. So like I said, listen, as I talked about yesterday, from the very beginning of the show, this is our 18-year anniversary month. On the second show that I ever did, September 27th, 2007, I interviewed former Canadian diplomat and author Peter Dale Scott. You can hear that interview on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Peter Dale Scott is the guy that coined the term deep state. Everybody uses that term now, and I don't think anybody really knows where it came from, but it came from him. On that show, the second show I ever did, I'm interviewing Peter Dale Scott, and I bring up something about the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission, because that was mostly what we had known about and talked about in the Roman scope of conspiracy nomenclature of the time, And as I'm bringing up talking about, Peter Dale Scott says, well, who you need to really look into is this group that was started in Dallas, which isn't really true, but I get what he said. A lot of the players like the Hunt oil family who were involved in the Kennedy assassination were involved in the formation of the group, and they're from Dallas, so he wasn't totally wrong. Anyway, and he starts talking. He starts telling me about this CNP, the Council for National Policy, and I never heard of it, and even at that time, see, I never wanted to do a show, guys. It wasn't like I had ambitions in my life ever. A lot of people, I don't think, know that about me. I never had ambitions to do a show. Somebody suggested I do it because I had a lot of knowledge and information and research, so I did it. Here we are, 18 years later. So as soon as I got done with that interview, first fucking thing I did is I go start looking into this Council for National Policy, and immediately I start finding all these names of conservatives and people on the right. And at that time, it was specifically people who I had seen as guests or heard as guests on the Alex Jones show. And I started digging into it going, holy shit. If this is what I think it is, this is another, control system, another control operation. The whole truth movement is just a fake, phony extension of that. And of course, my first gut instinct was correct. That is, I've proven that 1,000 times over with my Secret Right films, Spellcasters, all my work. So, listen, I gotta be honest with you. Before yesterday, I really didn't know jack diddly squat about this Charlie Kirk guy. So his death and what happened really didn't mean dick to me, other than I knew it was going to shake up things politically and, was going to cause more divide and conquer. So I just knew it was bad on that level, Again, what a difference a day makes. 24 little hours. Yeah, so your boy, me, started digging into this shit. Well, guess what, folks? Guess what I found on the Council for National Policy's website? Right next to Phyllis Schlafly's picture. And I, of course, I got footage exposed her and got footage of her in the first Secret Right film, my second film ever, which came out in 2009. There's Charlie Kirk's picture right next to Phyllis Schlafly on the CMP website. He was a member. So yeah, I was 50-50 yesterday, wondering maybe it was a politically motivated left-wing attack, or possibly the other 50% of it was going, this could be some kind of CIA operation. Well, I'm 100% on the board with the fact this was a CIA operation. No question about it. I was just talking about yesterday, too, how I wasn't on board with Trump in his first term because he had all these connections to the Council for National Policy. So when everybody in the truth movement, 2015, 2016, went lockstep over with Trump, I was the only guy. I was the outlier. I was the guy that wasn't on board with him, so I was ostracized, took a big hit, lost listeners and shit for it. Guess what, folks? This guy was Council for National Policy. The Council for National Policy is a CIA front organization. Remember I told you years ago, if you hear the word CMP, just in your mind replace it with CIA and then you'll be closer to the truth? Yeah, that's why Jonesy was freaking out. God, I'll never forget back in 2009 when I first started talking about this for like a month. Every caller, I wish I still had some of those calls, every caller for like a month was calling into the Alex Jones show asking about the CMP, and he had to address it. He's like, folks, if people keep calling me and asking me if I'm a member of this CMP or something, and I looked into it, and the Hunt brothers and the Hunt oil family is involved in it, and the Hunt brothers were fighting the New World Order. Oh, God. I can't even breathe still every time I fucking think him saying that. Oh my fucking God. God, the Hunt brothers are fighting the New World Order. That's gotta be one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever heard Alex Jones say. Fuck, those motherfuckers are the New World Order. This motherfucker's talking about, the Hunt brothers are fighting the New World Order. And Jonesy was freaking out. First I couldn't figure out, why is Jonesy getting so nervous and so worried about people calling into his show and asking him about, this CMP, the Council for National Policy? Well, it wasn't until much later when I determined they were a CIA front organization that it all made sense. Think about this, guys. I told you, that's why I started supporting Trump, why I supported him last year, because he kicked all those Council for National Policy people to the curb. I even told you last year about how I can't remember the name of the group, but there was one of those groups like the Family Research Council and stuff that's been connected to the CMP. I don't think it was Turning Point USA. It could have been. But there's one of those groups that they gave a new name to and then got Trump on board with. And I was talking about that. They're just renaming these fucking groups to get Trump on board. That's what I think happened. 100%. Think about it. The CIA eliminates a Trump ally. They give the perception it was a politically motivated assassination. And then they use it to get Trump back on board with the CMP and their agendas and policies. It's genius, and it's typical CIA horseshit. 100% typical CIA horseshit. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. So absolutely, I am no longer 50-50 on this Charlie Kirk thing. 100% I believe the CIA assassinated him. That's why they didn't have a suspect or they didn't find anybody immediately. They just, there's still a manhunt going on, all this stuff. They had the two patsies they arrested thinking they had the guy or one of the guys, giving the real assassin time to get away. That was a total, I talked about that yesterday. That was a total CIA type thing. Yeah. Here we are, yet again. Goddamn. Now, I thought these CMP, Council for National Policy motherfuckers, were gone and I didn't have to think about them anymore. Yeah. I was a fool for thinking those cocksuckers were going to give up that easily. 110%, folks. This was an operation. Absolutely. They had to find a way to get Trump back on board with the CMP. You eliminate one of his allies, a guy who was a member of the CMP, then that will embolden Trump to be behind the policies and things that Charlie Kirk was into because he was assassinated and Trump is being led to believe it was a politically motivated assassination, not knowing it was done by his own CIA. That's the way it works. I mean, Kennedy's own CIA eliminated him. These motherfuckers play hardball. They play chess, y'all, not checkers. God damn. And of course, as per usual, you know what's going to happen. I don't need a crystal ball to be able to predict the future on this one. I'm going to be the only motherfucker spouting this opinion. Nobody's going to give a fuck. And it's going to take more bullshit to happen before people go, oh, maybe Reeves was right. Yeah, maybe Reeves was fucking right. Just like I was right in 2009 when I first started telling you about these Council for National Policy cocksuckers. And everybody was denying me then. Yeah, I see exactly where the fuck this is going. Jesus fucking Christ, y'all. God damn. Abso-fucking-lutely, this is an operation. And abso-fucking-lutely, this is an operation designed to bring and drag Trump back on board with the policies of the Council for National Policy, meaning the policies of the deep state. That's really what it boils down to. I mean, the CMP is essentially the deep state. And the best way to get him back on board with their policies is to eliminate one of his allies that was a member of the Council for National Policy, and then you can get Trump back on board with the ideologies of the group. Put a bow on it, wrap that shit up, and put it under the fucking Christmas tree. There you fucking go. God damn. And this is the kind of shit right in my wheelhouse, you know? I'm the only motherfucker, because everybody else is up there running around fucking thinking this is this is definitely the wacky left that did this. That's too easy. It's just too easy to, this was definitely left-wing, lefty liberals. Left-wing, lefty liberals don't have the balls to assassinate somebody in broad daylight like this. Only the CIA could do this. But it's in their interest to make the perception be this was a politically motivated attack by the left, when in actual fact, this was an attack and an assassination from the CIA on the right in order to get Trump back on board with the policies of the Council for National Policy. There you go, folks. Ain't nobody else figured this shit out but me. So if you hear anybody else talking about this, which you probably won't, you know who they got it from. Motherfucker. Whew, God damn. Yeah. Incredible. I was wondering, I don't know why I naively thought that the CMP was just going to disappear into the shadows and let Trump get away with doing whatever he wanted to do without reining him back into their side, to their agendas. That was naive on my part, I'll admit. The blinders are off now, though. Holy fucking shit. They had to do this. They had no choice. Trump is so fiercely independent and his own person and free thinking that he's not going to, once he figures out those guys, he's not going to fucking go back with them. But they do this. They get a way to get him back on board with them without him even thinking that he is getting back on board with them. God damn. Oh, man. This is one of those things only I could have figured out, guys. Because of my research and where my research has taken me all these years and all of this. When I went and looked up, I said, earlier, I was just like, for shits and giggles. I know Trump kicked all those CMP guys to the curb. I know he doesn't associate with them, but just for shits and giggles, what can it hurt? If it says no, fine. We're still in the same place we were. No big deal. I went and looked it up. Of course, first thing I see, yes. Charlie Kirk was a member of the Council for National Policy. He's on their goddamn website, folks. With his picture right above Phil Schlafly. Oh, man. Wow. So, yeah. Absolutely, this was their operation. Absolutely, this was a CIA operation. And they'll probably, eventually, maybe, I don't know. I can't predict the future, but they'll probably roll out a Patsy. They'll probably roll out an Oswald. And they'll have, because, they've had time. It's been over 24 hours since it happened. So they'll have time to, create a fake profile and a fake online footprint for this guy and make it out for him to be some radical left-wing nut job and all that. Because that's how they're going to spin this. You know they're not going to spin this any other way. So, there you go, guys. And if you're somebody who's ignored my Council for National Policy research and all that stuff, and you've never seen those films, that's on you. That ain't on me, because I've been talking about this shit since the very beginning. This is our 18-year anniversary, and this is how I started back in 2007, the second show I ever did. Thank you again to Professor Peter Dale Scott, the guy who coined the phrase deep state. And boy, was he ever right. That's exactly what the CMP 100% is. You don't even get to be a candidate in the Republican Party unless you get vetted by the Council for National Policy. Trump was vetted by them in 2016, and he was on board with him. And of course, Mike Pence, the vice president during the first term, was a member of the Council for National Policy. He was one of their stooges. And you didn't see him come back for the second term. They had to find a way. Trump is doing too many things, especially being anti-war. You got to remember this: the neocons were birthed from the Council for National Policy. That's where they were birthed from. And Trump has done too many things that have been against the neocon agenda, and they had to have him back on their team. That's what this is. Now, of course, the media and the pundits and everybody are going to continue to spin this as a left-wing motivated thing. Who had more to gain from this assassination? Who had more to gain? The left or the right? The right. Because it's going to embolden Trump to get behind the policies that Charlie Kirk and the Council for National Policy stood for. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't even know what else to say. I really don't. Like I told you, though. Like I told you, I always go with my gut. Because it's never stirred me wrong. It's never steered me wrong. Here we go. I just thought, I said, you know what, let me look. I don't know anything about this Charlie Kirk. I don't keep up with these clowns on the left or right and all the little tertiary characters of the Republican Party. And I just don't. I don't have time or energy to do that shit anymore. And here we go. Charlie Kirk was the Council for National Policy member. Jesus fucking Christ. That really, to me, says it all. Sums it all up right there. God damn. Hey, you knew I'd figure it out eventually. You knew if there was anything to figure out on this Charlie Kirk shooting, your boy would figure it out eventually. And I fucking did! Jesus Christ. All right, guys. It's a 18-year anniversary month. I'm homeless. I'm trying to get a new place. Help us reach 100% of our 18-year anniversary fundraising goal on our campaign page. Find all the links in the comment section of the video. We have to raise $200 this week if I were to keep my temporary living space. So donate Dayglow76 at yahoo.com. Reeves Radio, all lowercase. One word, Reeves Radio on the Cash App. Capital J Josh dash capital R Reeves dash 61 on Venmo, and 7894 if it asks you for the last 4 digits of my number on Venmo. 36 films out this year, 90 films overall. Just go buy a bunch of downloads if that's all you can do. And you don't want to miss my newest film, which came out today, my 90th overall, Edgar Cayce, The Sleeping Prophet, because the information I have in this about what he predicted about 2025 was coming true as I was making the fucking film yesterday. God damn. Don't ever tell me I ain't got my fucking finger on the pulse of what the fuck's going on in this world. God. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.